Hello, everybody. We are Volt, the Versatile Operations Lab Toolkit. Overall, this is going to be our agenda. We're going to start with the background and need area, go through our need statement, critical requirements, user POV, journey map, concept map, going through our phase one initial designs, and then our feedback from that, going through our phase two design, our user clinics, human factors, business plan, and finally, our investment ask. A little bit of our background. Soldering is an essential task for individuals who work with electronics or mechatronics development. A lot of these areas are very cluttered and lack the ability to have customized tools in a portable sort of unit. So a lot of people will be using these shared spaces, which doesn't always have your tools in exactly the places that you would want. So as you start building, you may think something's not or something's there, but it's not. And the users will generally waste a lot of time gathering and searching for the correct supplies that they need in these shared spaces. So this helped us develop or helped us identify that there is a need for a portable, organized, modular method for transporting essential soldering equipment, which brings us to our need statement, which is roboticists need an organized, portable, all-inclusive kit that includes all of the necessary hardware to begin one's robotic and electrical journey. So some critical requirements, the product shall be able to have an all-inclusive soldering kit, which comes with all of the necessary items for this. Product shall be able to transform from a storage solution to a workplace seamlessly. Product shall connect to power either with a cable or using a power bank. Product must be constructed using a durable and impact-resistant material such as steel, aluminum, or reinforced plastics. And finally, the product shall be portable enough to be carried by a single individual.
Okay, so for our target users and insights, we primarily targeted either DIYers, students, and roboticists. And all of these people need to be able to bring their the bring their soldering station to wherever their workplace is. And they need everything in one place, such as their tools, and they may not have enough space to store their ongoing projects on like a workbench or have like a dedicated room as an electronics lab. And for the ages, we're targeting anywhere from 25 to 40. And some insights that we can gain from this is that most people value the idea of organizing tools, and they would like a dedicated slot for whatever tools they need, which can be easily accessed and easily seen. And they also would like a customized toolbox for their specific job and be very portable, so it can't be too heavy when it's like fully loaded. For our initial journey map, which was a modular toolbox, we had this journey map where the user is working on some project in their house and they have to go into their garage or electronics lab in our phase two case. And they just have a giant tool chest with tons of tools. Everything is disorganized, everything is cluttered, and they might have a toolbox or something, but it's too heavy, too cumbersome, and too annoying to bring into their project area. And they open their toolbox and find that it's just a mess and cluttered with a bunch of random items that they may or may not need. And then they're short on like one item or some other item, and they don't have a tool or something, and they have to go back to their workstation, get it, and then bring it back. And afterwards, uh, when it's time to clean up, it's just too much work to clean up, so they just shove everything back into their toolbox, and this entire cycle repeats. While this was for our phase one journey map, this also still applies, just replacing a garage with an electronics lab or or like a soldering station which is fixed at one specific area, and it's hard to be portable. So our concept map is relatively the same as well, where we need a more convenient way to store tools or a soldering workstation, and an easier way to organize these tools, maybe adding like a soldering station, a workbench, having places for fasteners, wires, consumables, etc. We want this build to be very modular, so like an 80/20 build, or something where the user can update it as they go on is also something important to us. And this leads us to a toolbox that has sides, boxes, clips, adapters, and a modular toolbox which can grow with you. Sweet. So for our phase one initial designs, prototypes, and prototypes, our concepts were having like a dough-like material so tools don't go anywhere. along with clips to either clip on fasteners or bins of tools, and essentially go from a wall mounted system to a portable solution, and that led us to our prototypes, which have that stacking design, which can either be incorporated with clips or like a swivel design. And this led us to our prototypes for phase one, which include a stacking design with drawers, which makes it easy to access even like the lowest floor, along with being able to detach whatever you need and keep whatever you don't need at the garage. So it can change in size based on what you need. And we also have that prototype too, which incorporates clips, which can clip on your drill or your fasteners or whatever tools that you might need.
All right. So moving on, after some feedback from our phase one or our initial uh prototypes and stuff like that of the modular toolbox, we had a pretty big pivot from the Milwaukee toolbox to all-in-one soldering station. And this was because what our design or equivalent of the Milwaukee toolbox was too much like the Milwaukee toolbox from feedback. But from what the feedback that we were given, a lot of it would still apply to an all-in-one soldering station. So we thought this was still very beneficial and we learned a lot from this. So this is where we moved on to our designs, and the initial concept, like mentioned before, was an all-in-one soldering station where we can have places for all the tools you can need, power supplies, soldering, helping hands, lights, vents, wires, a mat, or an actual surface to work on. There we went to some small-scale prototypes where we were testing different door designs or just stacking designs. And then we got to our prototype, which can be seen on the far right, where we had the door opening down, kind of like a drawbridge door design. So this goes to what our kind of file design is that we presented. Very similar to our prototype, but we have a 3D printed chest on top where we could have like wire strippers and screwdrivers. That's also removable. Um, and also on the inside, we have areas to storage for wires, solder, helping hands, various tools, projects. We have ergonomic features for the handles at areas that would be nice to carry. We have lights, and then also, of course, the soldering and fume extractor, and then a silicone mat that also is on the door. So it can double as our door and our workstation with the main idea of this whole thing built out of extruded aluminum, so it's sturdy and also quite modular. So we also performed some user clinics, which we gave us ideas what we could improve in the future if this class continued or we had a bigger budget. And through this process, we had the users give their overall impressions, identify the key features of this, and asked to interact as if they were going to solder something. So like set up the whole station, solder two wires together, and pack it up. And then we followed it with some questions about what they like, dislike, their overall experience, and any suggestions. So the findings that we found was people liked the weight and size for once we explained that this was the idea to be stored in like the side of a classroom and then brought to a workstation, so not far transportation. Um, they liked the customizability of it, and they really liked all the magnetic features that we had to keep everything locked in place and or for like the helping hands. Some dislikes, and this also applied a little bit to the likes, was the organization of it all. They liked how we had things, but the feedback was we had a lot of stuff a little too tight. So when they would try to get things out, stuff would fall or get in the way. And it was as if stuff had to be taken out and put back in a very specific order. So if we provide more space, this would be a little bit easier. Also areas for wires to be wrapped and stored for like the plugs of the fan, etc. Identification was also needs some improvement because a lot of people didn't realize we had a toolbox on the top until it was pointed out and that it was also removable. So some sort of instructions of like features on the inside of the toolbox might be good. And then some of the features just like better secured, which that kind of goes into back to the organization. And Also, back to the organization, some improvement for the connections and alignments because we reused some resources. So as stuff was assembled, it was slightly off.
Looking at the human factor side of Volt, we made sure the handles are positioned in such a way that the person who's carrying it does not have to place the box or away from the body. So the shoulders won't basically be hurting. And to reduce the cognitive load, we made sure the toolbox is darker in color with very neutral color schemes. And to make sure the tools are visible and where the tools are going in the box, we have like dedicated slots and labels to help the person who's using it to organize the tools. And in order to reach out to the tools, we made sure the box is not very big and it can be easily handled by one person all the time. Modularity and transportation or portability were also one of the considerations of human factors. Moving on to the business plan, our primary target users would be undergraduate and graduate engineering students who major in electrical, robotics, aerospace, and mechatronic programs. Secondary target users would be hobbyists in university clubs, CubeSat teams, Formula SAE, STEM educators, and DIYers. Our total addressable market would give us a total market potential of about 600 million to 800 million dollars. This is roughly about 4 to 5 million students who are in these streams every year, and our serviceable addressable market would give us a potential about 200 million to 300 million dollars of market. This is realistically the students who are enrolled in the programs which require the tools for their usage. And serviceable obtainable market would give us a realistic near term capture of about 15 to 20 million dollars. These are students who actually use the toolkit for their projects or their labs as part of their curriculum. And our customer buying behavior, the college and schools would likely purchase the toolkits based on the price, durability, functionality of the toolkit, portability, and aesthetics and branding. Our project launch strategy would be to do large scale pilot testing and validation, potentially having a tie up with universities or maker spaces which use these toolkits as part of their programs. And the next step would be having campus ambassador programs across universities where the ambassadors would basically conduct workshops on regular basis, share user feedbacks. And the next step would be leading us to having tie-ups with universities, and this is where large scale production uh, and manufacturing would uh, begin. And after that we are looking at sales and e-commerce sites such as Amazon. Our investment ask could be, if we get into a true business, we would potentially be needing mentorship and technical guidance, funding and financial backing, manufacturing and supply chain partners, branding, marketing, and sales and infrastructure. Our competition would basically or mainly be Amazon soldering kits, high-end stations like Hako and Weller, and University Makerspace. Our kit definitely stands out through superior organization, safety, portability, and student-focused design. And our kit provides like a one-stop, all-solution kind of product which houses the soldering kits and also the organization required to uh, keep it stored. And that would be the end of our presentation, and thank you.